There was this perception created by producers in multiple interviews that the genre of rom-coms is dead across languages, that people don't have the appetite for mushy storylines anymore because the flavor of the season is mass action and the current generation anyway has a tendency to call out anything that is remotely cheesy to be cringy. This theory absolutely got debunked in my eyes, however, when the slate of rom-coms across languages were doing so well. While most of them were not necessarily comedies, but their core focused on relationships and how people fall in love or out of it through several hardships. From Telugu ventures like Sita Ramam and Ante Sundaraniki, the Malayalam film Hridayam that totally won me over, and even Tamil films like the Dhanush and Nitya Menon starrer that I categorically choose not to butcher. It became crystal clear that there is no set flavor or formula for movies. If one is creating a compelling and entertaining storyline that is relevant with some catchy and popular music, the demographic from 16 to 35 is bound to swarm into theaters because essentially everyone just wants to have a good time. Ranbir Kapoor during an interview had stated that this is probably his last rom-com, as he feels that at this stage of his career, people won't be that welcoming to see him in this avatar, which he actually excelled in with movies like Bachna Hai Hasino and Ajab Prem Ki Gazab Kahani and even Ye Jawani Hai Diwani, where the pitch of the film is intentionally amped up and the actors hone in on this wackiness rather than sticking to an understated approach that will stick out like a sore thumb. Luv Ranjan movies are debated a lot on social media, but on the ground level, everyone watches them in theaters. His take on women and the portrayal of always scheming and being chalu is consistent, and this formula worked really well for movies like Sonu Ki Titu Ki Sweetie and Pyar Ka Panchnama. He flips the script in this case where both the male and female characters are constantly plotting against one another. While the remnants of some of his most problematic writing is still sprinkled here and there, like Shraddha stating that she won't take advantage of Ranbir after getting him drunk, I still feel it's toned down way more than his previous films, going towards the route of becoming a situational comedy rather than characters going on a rant mode talking about how one sex is the worst thing that exists in the world. I was seeing people commenting on how there was a lack of chemistry between the two leads. I actually think otherwise, because essentially in the movie they are performing, they are showcasing facades to one another, they aren't genuinely in love with each other. So I think they've actually got that on point, that two people are pretending to be in love with each other, but in reality something else is going on. So even their mushy dialogues between each other are performative rather than organic or genuine. Seeing Ranbir Kapoor, however, in the trailer, I'll be honest, it reminded me of the late 2000s and early 2010s, where he would play the charmer in full-blown commercial films filled with song and dance. But is it just me, or did you also feel that Ranbir was trying a lot in the trailer? By that I mean it's almost as if he was putting in extra energy for a genre of film that he hasn't visited in quite some time. The issue is not the delivery or the expressions, but almost this extra zest put into his body language that in some snippets of the trailer almost seemed like he was doing too much. Shraddha Kapoor, on the other hand, seemed to be in her element entirely, almost so comfortable with the genre and pitch of the film that you wouldn't even notice that she is coming into this genre of film after 6 years, after Half Girlfriend and OK Janu. Other than the lead pair looking drop dead gorgeous, there is an ease to Shraddha's presence in the film's trailer that really surprised me. Also, doesn't it seem like after Sonu Ki Titu Ki Sweetie, Sonu and Sweetie basically transformed into Ranbir and Shraddha in some alternate universe? It almost seems as a spin-off and take on their characters and how they were constantly at loggerheads with one another. I think Shraddha is going to give Ranbir a run for his money in this film. The additions of capable actors like Dimple Kapadia will only make the situational comedy and feud more exciting, but Bassi being part of the mess has me even more excited. A stand-up comedian who seems to belong in front of camera with absolute ease, being the best friend who tries to bring some sense into Ranbir's head. Bassi's laid-back delivery, I'm sure, is going to have many zingers. I think the strongest motivating factor for the movie is going to be the music composed by Pritam. Tere Pyar Mein, sung by Arijit Singh, and the several clips that have already circulated on the internet is showcasing all the signs of a dancing chartbuster. People undermine how music has become such a key factor of motivating the initial crowd that goes to theaters on the weekend. And I think Luv Ranjan is going to leave no stone unturned in making sure that the music gets put out there as the release date inches closer. Even though Pathaan is a lightning in a bottle when it comes to marketing strategies, no interviews, press conferences or interactions with the media, and still the movie has one of the biggest advance bookings for a Hindi film, inching closer to War now and probably coming closer to KGF Chapter 2 tomorrow. I read somewhere that Luv Ranjan has decided that both Ranbir and Shraddha are not going to promote the film together but will do it separately. Personally making me feel it's a really dumb idea, as one of the things that really interests audiences invested in the film is the dynamic that they share with one another, especially off camera. I don't really see the benefit of this specific strategy as it's beyond me not capitalizing on a pair that everyone is excited to see on the big screen. I don't think Tu Jhoothi Main Makkar is pretending to be anything but a fun ride of egos tussling with one another, of perception versus reality, eventually I hope falling hard in love for one another. I honestly can't wait for the music to drop because that's really going to be a game changer for how this movie fares in theaters. And that was